Good afternoon, everyone. It's 3 p.m. and I'll call to order the Board of Directors regular meeting for Monday, August 19th, 2024. May I have a roll call, please?
Director Meyerhoffen,
Here.
Director Duff,
Present.
Director Martin,
Here.
Vice President Griffith,
Present.
President Sewell.
Here.
Thank you. We have quorum.
And seeing that all 5 directors are present, we'll skip item 3. Item 4, Pledge of Allegiance, if you'd please rise. Director Martin, would you like to lead us?
Sure. Please join me in saluting our nation's flag. Put your hand over your heart and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And if you'd all please stay standing and join me in taking a moment of silence to honor 2 individuals who have recently touched our hearts in our community. First, we honor the memory of Grant Fournier, a collection system operator 2 in our wastewater department. Grant was not just a colleague, but a friend, and his passing leaves a void that will be deeply felt by our MSWD team. We also extend our condolences to retiree Nancy Mesquita, whose son tragically lost her life in a hit-and-run car accident last week. No words can truly express the sorrow and pain of losing a loved one. Our thoughts are with Nancy, Grant's family, and all who are grieving during these difficult times. Thank you. You may be seated. Item 5, Rules of Procedure. Counselor?
Yes, according to the rules of procedure adopted by the Board of Directors, all noticed meetings are conducted using Rosenberg's Rules of Order as a procedural guideline. Directors should refrain from responding directly to public comments at meetings of the board. The president of the board presides at all meetings and decides all points of order and procedure during meetings. The president is responsible for the maintenance of order and decorum at all board meetings. No person should be allowed to speak who has not first been recognized by the president. No member of the board should speak more than once upon any one subject until every other member of the board wishing to speak on the subject shall have been given an opportunity to speak. No board member shall interfere with the orderly progress of a board meeting, and the board president regulates the amount of time to be dedicated to a particular agenda item.
Thank you. Item 6, Public Input. This is the opportunity for members of the public to address the board on matters within the board's jurisdiction. Please limit comments to 3 minutes or less. State law prohibits the board from discussing or taking action on any item not listed on the agenda. Do we have any members of the public wishing to address the board?
President Sewell, we do. Director Steve Grasha would like to make public comment. Go ahead, Mr. Grasha.
Thank you. Greetings, directors. Speaking on behalf of myself personally and not as a member of the board of directors of the Desert Water Agency, I want to make sure that all of you are aware that I'm always available to discuss the important issues of water in our watershed. Lively discussion is something that we should all treasure. And for those of you that have been paying attention, as I being made aware of your closing comments at the last meeting about potential litigation against a unnamed director, and the item that's been placed on your agenda, again, an unnamed director. Wish to make sure all of you know that I'm available at all times to discuss these important issues, and you can contact me anytime at your convenience. My phone number is 760-676-6801. I look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you, Steve. Do we have any other members of the public wishing to address the board?
President Sewell, we do not.
All right. Moving on to employee recognition. Item 7, Human Resources Report. General Manager.
Thank you, President Sewell. This month, we have 2 new hires, a promotion and a certificate to celebrate. First, we have 2 non-milestone anniversaries representing more than 42 years of service to our customers. Wastewater treatment plant operator Greg Chapman, who is celebrating 18 years, and Chief Plant Operator Lee Boyer, who is celebrating 24 years. Regarding new hires, we have two new faces here at the district. The first, Anna Fisher, who joined as a temporary accounting technician a few months ago and is now moved to a regular full-time status. Before MSWD, Anna worked at a private organization as an assistant office manager at CVWD as accounting technician, handling invoices, billing, and accounts receivable and other accounting duties. Here to introduce Anna is her supervisor, Director of Finance, Arturo Seau. Arturo?
Thank you, General Manager Macy, President Sewell, and members of the board. It is my pleasure to speak about Anna, who has been a great addition to the district. She's very smart, works very hard, and her work shows. She's presented a couple of ideas already and taken ownership and implemented them. She gets along with everyone in the department, and everyone is very happy to have her. I look forward to continue to work with her. She does not want to speak to the board today, but is very grateful for the opportunity. And again, I can't wait to continue to push for a couple of things and improvements with Anna on board. Thank you.
Okay. Second, we have a GIS specialist, Ryan. Ryan comes to us from Sutter County General Services, where he managed major GIS projects, including ArcGIS Enterprise 11.1, upgrades, application design, and general data maintenance. Here to introduce Ryan is his supervisor, Assistant General Manager, Marion Chan.
Thank you, General Manager Macy. Ryan has been with the district for just over a month, and in that month, he has really hit the ground running. He's helping us to streamline processes and improve efficiencies within the district while working with Timmons to migrate our land-based data into ArcGIS online system. He has also been invited to present an MSWD case study during the September Esri Infrastructure Management GIS Conference, which is being held in Palm Springs. Staff is already looking forward to utilizing his talents in numerous ways, including streamlining our reporting efforts related to the new lead and copper rules and our conservation as a way of life reporting. On a personal note, Ryan's been a pleasure to have in the office. Being from Northern California, he's quickly assimilating to our desert lifestyle. Ryan, would you like to address the board?
Thank you, Marion. I'd just like to say that I'm very grateful for this opportunity. I see a balance of growth for myself and for the Mission Springs Water District. And I'm hoping within the next couple of years, we have a GIS-centric system that will be near flawless and up and running to integrate within our mission-critical systems.
Thank you.
Next, we have Lisa Pelton, who was promoted to Senior Customer Service Representative last month. As you know, Lisa's been with the district for 21 years. She started at MSWD as customer service and worked both in engineering and accounting departments before transferring back to customer service, where she feels the most connected to the customers within our community. Here to introduce Lisa is Finance Director Arturo Seau.
Thank you, General Manager Macy, President Solo, and members of the board. I'll just say a few words about Lisa. She does a great job for the district. She is a key component to the customer service team, and I couldn't be more happy to work with her as one of the employees that works with our customers. And here to say a few more words is her manager, Arthur Cabrera.
Good afternoon, General Manager Macy, President Sewell, and members of the board. Just quick update and exciting news in the customer service department. I am pleased to announce Lisa Pelton's promotion to Senior Customer Service Representative. Lisa has been an integral part of the customer service department, overseeing the monthly billing procedures, a subject matter expert on the daily operations, and also has taken a pivotal role in leading our cross-training initiatives. I'm really grateful to have her on my team and look forward to her continued contributions in her new role.
Thank you, Arthur. Okay, let me find it. Good afternoon, President Sewell and members of the board. Sorry, I'm nervous. I don't like to speak in front of everybody. I'm grateful for the recent promotion to the Senior Customer Service Representative. I'm truly honored and excited about this new position. I appreciate all your support and confidence in my abilities, which have significantly impacted my success and professional development. So thank you all. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, next and lastly, we'd like to congratulate Water Production Supervisor Chad Finch, who recently received his Grade 4 Water Distribution Certification. Chad has been with the district for 2.5 years and has been in the water industry for over 25 years. As a certified treatment operator, Class T2, cross connection specialist, and distribution D3 operator, he now is a D4. Here to say some words about Chad is Director of Operations, Danny Friend.
Thank you, General Manager Macy. Good afternoon, President Sewell, members of the board. I am happy to recognize Chad for achieving his D4 water certification, his water distribution certification. Excuse me. This is a challenging exam to pass and requires several years of experience as well. You may recall in September of 2023, I was up here talking about Chad passing his backflow specialist. So much like that backflow certification, passing his D4 excuse me, goes above and beyond the requirements of the position. This certification is a testament to Chad's dedication and expertise. Chad's accomplishments not only highlights his commitment to professional growth, but also enhances our team's capabilities. Chad has declined to say anything this afternoon. However, congratulations, Chad, on your achievement. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think we're gonna do a few photos, but just I know we've switched it recently to where now it's every 5 years for anniversaries. It's not considered a milestone, but I'd say for Greg and Lee, 18 and 24 years is pretty big milestone. And then Lisa and Chad, congratulations on your accomplishments. And Anna and Ryan, welcome to the team. I think it's really the accomplishments and the different team members that have really making MSWD a better place each and every day. So thank you. Now we're okay. Yeah, oh.
And one of the requirements is you have to let me borrow your car. Darn.
So that does conclude our HR report today. I do want to congratulate all 4 staff members, and I also want to thank the board. Some of the things we talked about in our strategic plan, starting a new department, promoting from within, encouraging advancement in your certificates were all part of our strategic plan. And you see 4 of our employees taking that to heart and moving forward with their careers. So it's making us a stronger organization for our customers. So thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board? Moving on to action items. Item 8, public hearing resolution 2024-23, energy services contract with Staten Solar Incorporated. It is recommended to adopt resolution 2024-23 and authorize the general manager to negotiate and execute a power purchase agreement and solar facility lease agreement with Staten Solar Incorporated to design, build, and construct approximately 4 megawatts of renewable solar energy at 7 MSWD sites. This is the time and place fixed to solicit the public's input with respect to Mission Springs Water District making certain findings and approving a power purchase agreement with Staten Solar Incorporated. The public hearing will be declared open and staff will give their reports. I will then call for comments from the public. During this time, there will be no back and forth conversation between the public and the board and staff. All questions will be noted and addressed after all public comments have been received. The public hearing will then be closed and the board may have a discussion if necessary. I declare this public hearing open. Secretary's report, please.
Notice of public hearing was posted to the Desert Sun on August 2nd, 2024. As of this afternoon, there have been no comments or protests on this item.
Thank you. And we have a staff report.
Actually, more of a presentation versus a staff report. There is a staff report in your packet that talks about the resolution, which allows the general manager to negotiate and execute a PPA as well as a lease agreement with Staten. We have several folks here that would like to make a presentation on their own right. We have Kenwood Energies, which will talk about how we selected Staten and how their proposal is ranked versus the other. We had two different folks that participated in our RFP process. We also have Staten here to talk about their qualifications as well as their financing abilities. So we've gone through this project a couple of different times, but as we talked about, this will free up our bonding capacity and going through a PPA versus an ownership, which we had done in the past. So with that, I would ask Tim Holmes from Kenwood Energies to talk about the RFP process and introduce our recommended consultant. Tim?
Tim, you're muted.
Sorry about that. I said my thank yous. You guys can see the presentation?
Yes.
Okay. And you guys have seen this before, so I'm going to skip this part unless you have questions. So just to remind everyone what the project is we have 7 installations. One of them is a large installation that will use the RES BCT tariff to offset costs at a variety of district facilities. And then there are 6 installations that are what are called behind the meter, and they will be using the net energy metering 2 tariff to offset costs at those specific sites. The generating capacity in total of the 7 sites is about 4,000 kilowatts, 4 megawatts, and it's going to generate about 10 million kilowatt hours per year. And then I think you're all aware that the NEM2 sites, the behind the meter sites, they have a completion date where they must be completed by April of 2026 in order to qualify for the NEM2, or they'll be kicked out and would qualify for something called the NBT tariff, which is not quite as advantageous. So we released an RFP in May of this year. We had some questions and we answered questions, and we received 2 proposals on June 18th. One was from Staten Solar and their partner is Bridge Financing. And then we received a proposal from Total Energies. And to summarize the difference between this project and how it has been presented to the district in the past, this time it's the district will purchase energy through a power purchase agreement instead of purchasing the solar systems. And a third party, meaning the financing entity, will actually own the system once it's complete, the construction is completed, as opposed to MSWD owning the system. And so the project cost, the initial project cost, is essentially 0 compared to what was presented to the district previously, which was an upfront project cost of over $17 million. What will happen is the energy budget will go down by $300,000 per year, as opposed to the previously where it would have gone down by $1.2 million per year. So while you don't have as much savings, it's that lower savings that actually pays for the project. So the net present value of the PPAs that we received were $13 million to $18 million over 25 years. If you were to purchase it for $17 million, the net present value was $11 million over 25 years. That's higher than what was presented to you early this year, and that's because we've updated those numbers based on current Southern California Edison tariffs and rates. One of the benefits of going with the power purchase agreement is because you don't own it, the third-party vendor is responsible for all operations, maintenance, and repairs. All you're doing is buying the electricity once the electricity has been generated. As opposed to the old project where you would have had to hire a maintenance company, you would do it maintenance, and then anytime repairs were needed, those would be an additional cost. And then the impact bonding, which is important, is by doing a PPA, since it's only impacting your energy budget as opposed to your capital, you don't have any impact to your bonding ability, where with a capital purchase, you would have had, it would have impacted your ability to bond in the future. So we've evaluated the two proposals on a number of items, their qualifications and experience, their engineering and design, operations, maintenance, and their performance guarantee. Obviously, price is important, and their financial strength. So our recommendation is to go with Staten. They had strong qualifications and experience. They demonstrated that they have the engineering and design ability. They have the ability to provide the operations and maintenance and keep those systems operating as they're designed. Their price was strong. It was not the lowest price, but it was a very good price. And they have the financial strength to be able to complete the construction. And so the next steps are to execute the contract, which is the PPA and lease. Much of that is done. We anticipate being done within the next 30 days. And I think that coincides with how the general manager is anticipating leaving this public meeting open. And once we get the PPA and the lease agreements done, construction will take anywhere between, well, I think this is a little bit old, so I would call this, 14 to 24 months. And there'll be about $150,000 in costs between staff time and maybe legal fees and consulting fees. And that is all I have. So we also have Sam Bonet and a representative from Bridge Financing, and they have a presentation also. So I am going to close out my presentation, stop sharing, and allow them to start sharing theirs.
Thank you, Tim.
I guess I'll start first, Adam. So thank you very much to the board for the opportunity. My name is Sam Bonet. I'm the founder president of Staten Solar. So just wanted to show you a few slides. Tim told me I have like maybe a couple minutes, so I'll just be very brief given the time. But okay, here we go. Is my screen visible?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So just a quick brief on the company. So we are a solar developer where the headquarters are here in Northern California in the Bay Area, but we do have an office in in the LA area in Woodland Hills. We have pretty much all the licenses that are needed to do any electrical work or any general construction work in the state of California. So that's licenses B, C10, and C46. And we've been in business about 16 years. Our exclusive focus is C&I projects, construction, and also helping with financing and operation and maintenance. So how we differentiate from many other companies is that all the three key attributes that are required in order to deliver a successful project, not just the construction up until construction, but all the way through its useful life, is that we need to have engineering competencies, We need to have, knowledge, or better still, self-performing capabilities or team that does the construction, and some basic understanding of financing. So we have all of them in-house, of course, for financing large projects such as this one for us. We work with our very strong financial partner, Bridge, and Adam is here on the call, so he will be presenting next. But having these three, required key skill sets under one roof helps us create various, various sort of value additions, which are not possible otherwise. If engineering is separate, or somebody else is doing construction, or somebody else is doing financing. So in terms of our management team, there's we have professional engineers on our team that are also helping guide the design as well as construction, and plenty of experience, plenty of gray hair, you can see some of them at the moment, but yeah, we have people who've been doing this for a very, very long time. This is just some of the public agencies that we have been working with. So we've been working with the city of Thousand Oaks. That's probably the closest, where we're doing all their city locations. The project is almost complete. And these are like open locations, so good or okay for anyone to go see. We're working with the Tule River Indian Reservation Tribe solar project. We're working with various school districts. Just a few months ago, won a contract to do solar installation for all the courthouses of JCC, which is Judicial Council of California, in the Bay Area. So there's like 9 courthouses that we're working with. We're also working with a similar water district, which is South Tahoe Public Utilities District up in Lake Tahoe. And we're also working with the city of Lake Tahoe, along with several other cities. I think I'll just stop here and be happy to take any questions. But yeah. So Adam, over to you. Please feel free to start sharing whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Sam. And there's one more presentation?
Yes.
How you doing?
Okay.
Yeah, this is Adam Hall. Now I'll be quite brief here, but yeah, I'll just share my materials. 1 second. What am I connected to? Oh. There we go. All right, that should have worked. So again, thanks for the time. Again, my name is Adam Halton. I'm the Chief Investment Officer for Bridge Renewable Energy. Bridge Renewable Energy is going to serve as or will fund the project and then serve as the owner and the long-term operational partner for the project. So for those aren't aware, Bridge Renewable Energy is a specialized vertical within Bridge Investment Group. Bridge Investment Group is an alternative investment manager. They have approximately 49 billion of assets under management today. And we're organized across 12 distinct verticals that spans across real estate strategies, credit strategies, renewable energy, and then also secondaries. Each of these teams is supported by a dedicated team of investment and operating professionals. So each with specific experience in their respective vertical. We also have a nationwide platform that supports those. So we have about just over 2,000 employees. And again, we combine that with these specialized teams to have a vertically integrated approach to everything we do here. Bridge is a publicly listed fund or publicly listed company. We're traded under the ticker BRDG on the New York Stock Exchange. Again, Bridge, quite like Staten, is focused solely, or Bridge Renewable Energy is focused solely on the development, engineering, and deployment of renewable energy infrastructure, focus largely on distributed generation. So that's across commercial, industrial, and municipal customers largely. And that largely ranges around solar, but we also do battery storage and EV charging to some extent. Just from a experience and what's relevant for this project here. So again, we have a dedicated team that's focused solely on the renewable energy space. Collectively across the team at BRE and prior roles, the team's been responsible for about 1 gigawatts of solar projects coming online across the country. That equates to about $2 billion worth of asset values. That breaks down in kind of two ways. So about 70 of those projects are about 1.2 gigawatts or large utility scale projects. But the team has also done about 500 distributed generation projects across about 400 megawatts across the team here. So I think it's a little bit more relevant to the types of projects we're talking about here. So again, happy to answer any questions, but it's a pretty brief overview of who we are here at Bridge.
Thank you, Adam. Did we have anything from staff before I open it up for questions?
No, I think that concludes our report today.
Okay. Any questions from Director Martin?
If you've already covered this in the presentation, I missed it. I apologize. In the past, when we invested in a solar field, we were told how much savings it was going to be to our ratepayers and to the district on there. Do you have any rough figures about the savings or the benefits of switching to this plant?
Yeah, this is Tim with Kenwood Energy, and I'm gonna re-show my presentation, which there it is. So the busiest slide that we have here is so we're estimating that with Staten and the Staten and Bridge team, that we're going to have a net present value of the savings over 25 years is about $13 million to the district. So that is money that you will have to spend on other things besides energy.
Thank you.
Director Meyerhoffen?
Excuse me, they were both very good presentations, and it seems as if they'll use a lot better of a business plan than what we had last time.
Thank you. Director Duff?
Thank you. I just have a couple questions for the CEO of Staten. I'm sure you probably get asked this a lot, so I apologize if it's kind of the running question these days. But I think for us, a big concern we have is the maintenance contract moving forward. And I know that you are primarily up north, but what team will be here and what kind of a commitment do we have that you're going to maintain your team here for our contract? A lot of, SunPower's all over the news right now, and they're going through bankruptcies and kind of overextended themselves in the maintenance contract end of things. I just wanted to see if you could kind of tell us where you are secure for our future and kind of explain that process to us a little bit.
Sure. So I think I'll answer in two parts. First is how we do maintenance all across California. So as you correctly said, it is not possible to have a crew in every city, every location, or even every county, right? So what we do, as do most of the other O&M providers, is to have a contract with a local company that will go out and be able to service any call that the project might have in a very quick span, like in a few hours to maybe 24 hours to 48 hours. Having said that, in this case, because Bridge is the one that's going to be owning the system, so I think the O&M responsibility actually transfers to the owner. We are happy to do it for them, or they may have their own national partners. Adam, I don't know if you want to say anything to that specifically.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, so nothing too substantive to add to that. We follow a similar approach. We do have a national provider of O&M services. But again, that national provider tends to do something quite similar, meaning that they have local presence on the ground that actually performs the services on site. And so, with a situation like SunPower, for example, those contracts are relatively interchangeable in the event that, something happens to the provider that could always be changed out to a new provider. There's no shortage of that service in this, particularly in the area of these projects.
Okay.
I have a little bit to add to Director Duff, is that within the contract, we have added some language that addresses how responsive the owner is to be, and who their subcontractors are required to respond within certain timeframes and address any issues, even including aesthetics. You know, if something breaks that makes it look like it's broken, even if it's generating energy, they still are going to have to repair it back to how it was supposed to look. And then the second part of that is we do have also an output guarantee. And so if they are not generating the energy that they're looking for, first of all, they don't get paid, because that's how they get paid, is through the energy generation. And then if they're not able to meet certain thresholds, they start being penalized for that, for not meeting that output also.
Thank you, all of you, for clarifying that for me. I appreciate that. Also, in the contract that was sampled to us, and I know that it's a work in progress, but it talked about if the solar company fails to meet the NEM2 requirements and the time deadline, but it doesn't really clearly state what the recourse to the district is if that happens. Can any of you tell us what the planned recourse is if Stanton fails to meet the M2 deadline and requirement?
Right now, the contract is written that has a security in it. And we have a meeting tomorrow to discuss that, and they're going to explain how they've come up with that solution, and they're going to explain to us how that works. And we probably have maybe 5 or 10 significant points that we are still working on, and that is one of them.
Okay. And then just very quickly, last two. In the contract, it also stated that the landlord is responsible for the security and physical security of the site. So would that be the landlord, i.e. MSWD? Is that the owner of the project? And to what level do we foresee needing to secure our sites? Do we know that yet?
What we are trying to write into the contract is that the level of security that the district has currently is what the district will be providing. If the security is not sufficient, as I would suspect it won't be for the RESBCT, because that's on an open piece of land, it will be up to the owner to provide fencing and security on those sites. And
Okay.
Adam, do you agree with that basically completely, or do you have any more comments to add there?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we would want to have our own security anyway, just for the sake of the system. Probably that's in accordance with what you're doing there. So no, nothing to add there. I think that's right.
And then lastly, the only other concern that I had is, again, just a contract detail. It's not a big one, but in case there is a dispute in any of the contracts, it is saying that arbitration will take place in Santa Rosa or San Francisco. I'm assuming that because this project is taking place in Riverside and the contract is being entered into here in Riverside, that we could change that to Riverside County.
So far, it's been changed to LA, but and we have a note within the contract right now that says this must be approved by the district's legal as to where it is. We recognize you're in Riverside and that it could move. I don't think that's a critical issue to Sam or Adam, though. I think they'd be comfortable with that.
We appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Vice President?
I think this might be more of a question for staff. The new administration building is not included in this, correct?
Correct.
That would be a separate project.
Correct.
Okay. No, I'm just real happy about this, because I think when we looked at what we had before, I was a little cringy about putting out that kind of money. And I think that this really is just kind of the project that we need, will provide us what we need without us putting out a lot of money. So thank you for all your information. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And thank you, Director Duff. Most of your questions, I think, touched on what I was going to request. For the NIM 2.0 deadline, I know the previous company we were working with, procurement of the panels themselves was kind of a time frame that they couldn't really estimate. Has that improved? Or, I mean, it seemed like they were going to have a big delay on just getting the panels. Is that something that you see, Sam?
No, not anymore. So, jokingly, we call our industry coaster, right? I mean, the panels are in short supply and then they're in abundant supply. So it kind of keeps rolling on. At the moment for this project, we don't see any such issues as far as panels are concerned. I think for the RES BCT site, the item that I would watch out for very carefully is the electrical gear. The main panels, the main service panels, things like that. The solar panels and the inverters themselves are steel. That's not a problem at the moment.
Okay, great. And then Tim, I appreciate the work you're doing on the contract and with staff to kind of shore up some of that O&M. Do we have anything further from staff?
No, not.
Oh, Director Martin?
Yeah, this question is for staff. The existing solar field that we've had for several years, when that was initially proposed to the board, there was a educated estimate of how much savings that would generate in terms of providing solar power. Has that panned out to what our expectations were, or is it more or less, or about right on target?
I actually don't know what was proposed as a savings, but Danny, do you have based on what I understand, it's panning out the way we expected.
Oh, Mike.
Panning out slightly, thank you. It is panning out slightly less, but there was, and I forget how it was described. There was some changes in what Edison did that actually reduced it approximately $75,000 to $100,000. Knowing that up front, what we're collecting today is in line with what we expected.
Okay, thank you.
All right. And do we have any members of the public wishing to speak on the item?
President Sewell, we do not.
Okay.
I was just asking if Arturo knew approximately what the yearly savings that we're receiving. No. Oh, if the board does decide to continue this item as staff is recommending in September, we'll make sure to bring back that information for the board to know how much we are actually saving by owning the facility and what the benefit is to the organization.
Okay. And I'm sorry, Director Duff, did you have something? No? Okay. If the recommendation is to continue, do we still close the public meeting today?
You can, I mean, a public meeting or a public hearing, it gives due process, and you've done that today. The only thing is there may be changes to the agreement that's in the packet. And so you may want to leave it open and just continue the public hearing to a future date so that if somebody wants to comment on the revised agreement, they can do that.
Okay.
So probably the safe thing to do would be to continue the public hearing. Yeah.
Would that be part of the motion?
Yeah.
Yes, and the date certain would be September 16th. That would be our next board meeting, and that will give us plenty of time to review from a legal perspective, because right now, as you can hear, we're still working through some of the finer points between just the contract itself, but then we'd like to make sure that our legal team had a chance to review it as well as a final document. So if we could continue that from staff recommendation would be to September 16th. Thank you.
I move we continue this until date certain, September 16th, 2024.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Director Meyerhoffen,
Yes.
Director Duff,
Aye.
Director Martin,
Yes.
Vice President Griffith.
Aye.
President Sewell.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
And thank you all for your presentations today. Item 9, State Advocacy Services, CA Lobby LLC. It is recommended to authorize the general manager to execute an agreement for services with CA Lobby LLC in the amount of $5,000 per month for the term beginning September 1st, 2024 and ending August 31st, 2025. General Manager.
Thank you, President Sewell. Assistant General Manager Marion Champion will be providing this staff report. Marion?
Thank you, General Manager Macy. Good afternoon, directors. As I mentioned last Thursday during our workshop, we would like to enlist the services of California Lobby LLC, which is a full-service, bipartisan, and woman-owned advocacy firm based in Sacramento. The proposed services include monitoring legislation, drafting position letters, providing monthly reports, setting up meetings with legislators, engaging with relevant associations, and offering strategic counsel. The team is led by Rosanna Cavacho Elliott, who has extensive experience in California's political landscape, and she is supported by a seasoned team of lobbyists. We have asked Rosanna here today to provide you with some additional background on her firm and her areas of expertise. Rosanna?
Great, thank you very much. As Ms. Champion said, Rosanna Carvacho Elliott. Pleasure to see you all again. I think some of you are new faces, and I hope we can meet in person as well. As was said, I have been engaged in Sacramento politics for a very long time. I don't want to admit how long, but this is my 11th year as a lobbyist. I have experience working in both houses of the legislature prior to becoming a lobbyist. And I've had a focus in my years as a lobbyist as in the resources and energy space. I started representing the California Groundwater Coalition, which MSWD is a member of, back in 2013. It's been a great privilege, and so I think it's fair to say that groundwater is an issue that I have become an expert in over the last 11 years. But admittedly, it was also trial by fire back then, because as you all probably remember, the year after, it was 2014 when the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act was passed. So just a quick example of some of the work that I've done for the California Groundwater Coalition was that first year as my full first year as a lobbyist in 2014. I worked with the California Groundwater Coalition in negotiating the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act. I was at the table in the governor's office negotiating that. One of the things that we did was ensure that adjudicated basins were exempted from SGMA. I know there are some additional issues that the district has with SGMA, but that's just one example of some of the things I've done. You know, in addition to the water work and energy and natural resources, you know, I would say I'm also a generalist working on a lot of different issues, and it's frankly one of the things that I enjoy. It's a challenge to take on new issues. My greatest strengths are my understanding of the legislative process and frankly how to get things done in Sacramento, and then I rely on you know, my clients and you all to be the subject matter experts. In addition to that, my relationships with legislators and staff, as well as the administration, both in the governor's office directly and state agencies and departments, are very strong. As I'm sure a lot of you know, Sacramento is a very small town. So a lot of the players that are in key roles now in the Newsom administration or in legislative offices, and frankly, even legislators, you know, we're staffed together. We kind of grew up together, so to speak, in the world of politics. So, you know, I'm really looking forward to this opportunity. I'm happy to take any questions. You know, I know that since I represented the district a few years ago, I know there's been some really positive changes, including having a legislative platform. I know the district board members are up here in Sacramento a lot more. So, you know, I think that is all great. But a big piece is going to be continuing to have strong relationships with your elected officials. And, you know, as you all probably know, your senator is going to be changing, and it's one of the most hotly contested seats in California. So, you know, that will really be important. I assume you all already have a relationship with Senator Ochoa Bogue if she does win re-election. But Ms. Middleton, who is running for that seat, would be a Democrat, as I'm sure you know, and potentially a new face to some of you, and certainly to Sacramento. But having relationships there, as well as with your assembly member, also another hotly contested seat, is going to be very important to the success for the district here in Sacramento, and having your voice heard. So with that, I'll stop and take any questions.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Director Duff?
Very nice to meet you, and I look forward to working with you.
Vice President?
Nice to see you again. I can attest to Rosanna's work at our CSD legislative days. We actually passed her in the hallway in the Capitol Annex there as she was running around, we were running around. And so I'm looking forward to working with her and seeing her more up in Sacramento. So thank you.
Director Meyerhoff?
Thank you for that presentation. It's very nice to meet you also, and looking forward to working with you.
Director Martin?
Yes, although it's been a long time, Rosanna, it's nice seeing you again. Good presentation. Thank you.
And yes, thank you for the presentation. I think we've seen as a district recently the advantage of having Laura back in DC. And I'd argue that having someone up in Sacramento is just as important. So on top of that, to have you, Aldi, to have done work for the district, I'm looking forward to having a motion. And
I'd like to make a motion for the California Advocacy Services California Lobby.
thank you. We have a motion and a second. May I have a roll call vote, please?
I apologize. Who was the second on that item?
Vice President Griffith?
Thank you. Director Meyerhoffen,
Yes.
Director Duff,
Aye.
Director Martin,
Yes.
Vice President Griffith.
Aye.
President Sewell.
Yes,
Thank you. Motion passes.
thank you. Thank you, Rosanna.
Thank you.
And item 10 will be pushing to next month's meeting?
Correct. There were some changes that were requested on Thursday, as well as some additional questions that we were not able to get to or answer properly for the resolution and the ordinance. So we will be bringing that back to the board at a future meeting, September.
Thank you. Item 11, execution of lot line adjustment application for the Critical Services Center. It is recommended to authorize the general manager to do all things necessary to sign and execute all necessary entitlement documents on behalf of Mission Springs Water District and the lot line adjustment application with the City of Desert Hot Springs for the Critical Services Center and submit it to the City of Desert Hot Springs for processing and execution. General Manager?
Yes, thank you, President Sewell, members of the board. We discussed this project on Thursday. It is simply taking several different properties and combining them into one, so we could have just less than 5 acre parcel. And also separating this from the park property as well as the Horton facility, which has its own several different general use permits related to discharge. So with that being said, we can answer any questions at this time.
Any questions or comments from the board? Director Martin? Director Meyerhoffen?
No, I think I pretty well wore this one out as we went along.
Director Duff? Vice President?
No, just move that we do this.
We have a motion for item 11. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Director Meyerhoffen,
Yes.
Director Duff,
Aye.
Director Martin,
Yes.
Vice President Griffith.
Aye.
President Sewell.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Item 12, approve contract amendment number 3 with Yellow Jacket Drilling Services, LLC, for the construction of monitoring well number 2. It is recommended to authorize the general manager to approve contract amendment number 3 with Yellow Jacket Drilling Services, LLC, in the amount of $27,645 for the construction of the monitoring well number 2 for the Regional Water Reclamation Facility and to do all things necessary to complete the project. The construction amendment would increase the contract amount $27,645 from $202,785 to $230,430. General Manager?
Thank you, President Sewell. Much like the previous item, we talked about this on Thursday, talked about that the state was the one that required us to go from 2 to 2A. We needed to negotiate an easement with the property owner for the relocation of that well. This cost is representative of the change from when we first bid this project to where it is today. I also like to add that, as we talked about on Thursday, it's not only $27,000 extra if you look at the work order, but it's more than that, eating up some of the contingency. There will be a small contingency left over, but we do not expect to have to come back to the board and use that additional contingency. But as we mentioned on Thursday, moving forward, we'll make sure that the staff report and the motion reflect that when we do include the contingency and a change in contract, we will also include it in the recommendation.
Great. Any further questions or comments, Director Martin?
Nope.
Director Maya?
No.
Director Duff?
Thank you for increasing the transparency and clarity on that in the future. I appreciate it.
Vice President?
I have nothing.
And I just have a quick question, not necessarily about the contract, but is there a time frame that we have to have this completed? I know the plant's getting closer to being up and running.
Because of the situation that we've gone through, the regional board understands where we're at, and so does staff. So we're going to be working with them, but we will try to get this started as soon as we can. We do have 2 other monitoring wells. We don't expect this one to start seeing any changes in water quality once the plant goes online for several months, if not years. So with that, we're just going to start establishing a baseline with the other 2 wells and then add this as a third.
Great. Do we have any members of the public wishing to speak on item 12?
President Sewell, we do not.
Right, thank you. And with that, do we have a motion for the item?
So moved.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Director Meyerhoffen,
Yes.
Director Duff,
Aye.
Director Martin,
Yes.
Vice President Griffith,
Aye.
President Sewell.
Yes,
Thank you. Motion passes.
thank you. Discussion items. Item 13, Nancy Wright Regional Water Reclamation Facility Update.
Thank you, President Sewell. We gave this presentation regarding where we are with California Edison. I am happy to report that we did receive the draft agreement this afternoon, so we will be executing that as we talked about in previous discussions and getting that back to Edison so we can start the construction of the last piece of sewer to connect this plant to our lift station. So very good news that we were able to work through that with the help of legal counsel as well as another consultant. So it is moving forward, and we are finally going to start seeing that pipe completed. So with that, if there's any questions regarding today or Thursday's presentation, I'm available.
Any questions, comments from the board? Director Duff, Vice President? Director Martin? Right. Item 14, Critical Services Center and Administration Building Update. We did Thursday.
Correct.
Anything?
Nothing more to add.
Any comments from the board?
Nope.
Moving on to consent agenda. The consent agenda consists of item 15, approval of minutes, item 16, register of demands, and item 17, acceptance of the water supply assessment and water supply verification for the Viento Development Project. Would any board member like to pull one of the items?
Nope.
With that, do we have a motion for the consent agenda?
So moved.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Director Meyerhoffen,
Yes.
Director Duff,
Aye.
Director Martin,
Yes.
Vice President Griffith.
Aye.
President Sewell.
Yes,
Thank you. Motion passes.
thank you. Item 18, director's reports. Do we want to draw straws or anyone like to go first? Nope. Director, Vice President Griffith?
I actually only had 2, though both were DWA meetings. So on July 2nd, they did approve a submission to the Bureau of Reclamation for grants for small scale water efforts and discuss the tax rate for fiscal year 2024-25. And if I can read my rating here on the 16th, it was a very short meeting, was something about the 2024 winter pipeline replacement proposal. So both of those meetings were pretty short, not very substantial, but always important information.
Director Duff, would you like to go?
All right, so on July 9th, I attended the CBWD board meeting. They also had one scheduled for the 23rd. However, they canceled the 23rd. So the July 9th discussion was primarily about, they had a public hearing regarding sewer fees on the tax roll. They also discussed a tax levy of 11 cents per $100 of assessed property value for the state water project for Riverside and Imperial counties, which they are preparing. They also had a discussion about their CalPERS 2024 $10 million lump sum payment that was due and their $150 million unfunded liability, which kind of made my stomach hurt. They also discussed the Mecca College of the Desert Panorama project and the need for new hydrologic studies in order to move forward on that sewer project. On the 24th of July, I was a part of the San Gorgonio Pass Regional Water Alliance meeting, and Emmett Campbell with San Gorgonio gave a basin report. They also discussed how the 1 million acre foot loss to the state water transfer due to the Delta fish issue earlier this spring what it did to the down trickle, so to speak, of everyone getting their allotments. And then they also talked about, they had a great presentation, sorry, on artificial intelligence. It was very interesting. They demonstrated Otter AI, a free Chat GPT, as well as the paid Chat GPT. They did a couple demonstrations where they took aerial photos of an area, you know, as part of their district, and then they put photos of the service permit map and then asked AI to generate and identify all unpermitted pools. And it was 93% accurate. Kind of crazy how it works that way. And then it talked about how when you use it for other things, though, it's incredibly important, they're finding, to do serious grammar and proofreading, because it literally doesn't comprehend the way we do in some of the data that it collects. The other thing that they showed is they're using it for their board meetings at this one district. They are uploading the board meeting and asking ChatGPT to and the agenda, sorry, the board meeting video and the agenda, and they're getting the minutes. They're basically transcribing the minutes from the meeting, and then ChatGPT does an summary of the entire board meeting, which is very interesting. Then at the end of the month, I attended CASA with a couple of our other directors and our president. That was our first time at CASA, and I was very impressed, I have to say. It was a smaller group. There was only about 300, which they were boasting to be one of their largest attendances yet. They had a lot of serious conversations about cake and biosolids and all of these things that in our water world, we don't spend a whole lot of time talking about, yet they are just as important as the other end. In fact, I liked how they continually reminded us that our wastewater systems are in fact public health systems. And that is a good reminder, and what a part we play in our community to ensure that. And then it talked about all the regulations that we have coming up as well. I'll leave the rest for everyone else. That pretty much does it for my month. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Martin?
Yeah, on the July 2nd city council meeting, Councilwoman Jan Pike clarified the organizational management of the city, which is pretty much the same as Mission Springs Water District. The council has 2 employees, basically city manager and city attorney, just like we do. There was a discussion regarding the 1% sales tax increase that they wanted to put on the November ballot. On the 16th, there was a special city council meeting. One item of interest was a discussion regarding Desert Healthcare District lease agreement with Tenet Healthcare, and that it contained a non-compete clause, which is problematic in that it could prevent other healthcare facilities from being built, such as urgent care. So they're having a real problem with that lease agreement. On the 17th, the BIA networking night at the top of the Palm Springs tram. Keynote speaker was Greg Wallace, assembly member for the 47th district. Well attended event. On the 31st of July, I also attended the CASA conference, and I was expecting it to be something along the lines of an expanded version of a Corb's banquet type. And it wasn't. It was very impressive. There's a lot of technical information. The theme of the conference was empowering through collaboration. And of course, that included the latest information on legislative and regulatory proposals impacting agencies. It was an excellent conference. That's all I have.
Thank you. Director Meyerhoffen, I don't know if you have a meeting this month?
No, the planning commission went dark. But I did spend a little time doing some research and came up with some interesting things concerning water. The California Special District has a Browns Act book that I ordered and read that, which was interesting. I'd like to recommend the directors look at the YouTube video from NASA where it talks about asteroids, maybe 2 billion years ago, that water may have came from asteroids. It explains what our potable water is. And I did a little research on how our military bases are affecting the groundwater around the bases, because most of our military bases are polluted. And fortunately, we don't have any military bases where that's happening, but it really emphasizes the importance of protecting our groundwater.
Well, thank you. And I have a few to report. July 9th, I attended the Riverside County Board of Supervisors. This was actually my first supervisors meeting I've attended. They have some wide-ranging public comments. The Flood Control and Water Conservation District, their benefit assessments were approved, which is pretty standard and happens on an annual basis. Not too much else water related. One item I did find interesting was that Riverside County Probation is working on transforming its juvenile probation program. They're actually part of a 2-year study with Georgetown University, and they're working to kind of give some of these minors that are headed down the wrong path a better route and kind of digging into different options. July 12th, attended Greater Coachella Valley Chamber of Commerce Legislative Breakfast. This was a presentation by Assemblymember Greg Wallace. I liked that his presentation was pretty short and he really encouraged Q&A. Pretty much the whole audience was engaged. I did mention this at our last month's meeting, but a big topic that came up in the room was the dust in the valley. And he mentioned that he and Eduardo Garcia actually had scheduled a meeting with AQMD, and we're hoping to make some progress. I think that meeting has taken place, but I haven't heard anything since then. July 17th, Greater Coachella Valley Chamber of Commerce lunch meeting. This was actually held here in Desert Hot Springs at Miracle Springs. I was a bit disappointed at the turnout. I was hopeful for some more local businesses to be involved, but it was well attended by water professionals. A third of the table was myself, Jim Barrett from CBWD, and Director McKenna and Grasha from DWA. It was a nice luncheon, but nothing really significant to report. And then I also attended July 31st through the 2nd of August, the CASA conference. The first time I've attended the CASA conference, and I thought it was really informative. I hope to continue going each year. Some of the sessions right off the bat were a bit over my head. I think it's another reason that our board needs to focus maybe a little more on the wastewater side, some of the acronyms and technical things, but overall, I really enjoyed it. They had a really great keynote speaker that talked about implementing change in their organization. It was really relevant with all the changes we're kind of going through here. And yeah, overall, great conference. That's all I have. Item 19, General Manager's Report. I believe we've covered both of these Thursday, but
We have, are there any, if there's any additional questions, myself or staff is ready to answer any of those.
okay. Did we have any questions or comments, Director Duff, Vice President? Director Meyer? On the
comments?
General Manager's Report. Director Meyer? No. Okay, thank you. Item 20, District Council comments.
Yes, we do have closed session today. The items are listed in the agenda.
Thank you. Item 21, Director comments and requests. This includes general comments, requests for future agenda items, and requests for future meetings. Director Martin?
Yes, I have been requested to make a request for board member compensation for attendance to the Regional Water Reclamation Facility ribbon cutting, which takes place on September 27th. And I guess we need to put that on the first agenda in September.
Okay.
Yeah.
We could probably even do the workshop.
Yep.
Right. Director Meyerhoffen?
Nothing.
Director Duff?
Just a little community reminder. And I know that our police department has recently put some things out and some other community members, but school is back in session. And we also have had a lot of road work going on. Our crews and other crews have been doing a lot of construction work on the roads. Please drive carefully. We had a student at my son's school last Friday almost run over by a parent. So please, please be careful, watch for children, and have a safe month. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice President?
My experience has been that parents picking their children up at school are probably the worst drivers. Director Meyerhoff, and it's funny you bring up the military bases because there was a recent article where the military, I believe the Air Force, and I think it's either New Mexico or Arizona, is attempting to use the recently repealed Chevron doctrine as a means to avoid cleaning up groundwater contamination caused by their operations. So you might want to check that article out. Very interesting. Other than that, it is summer. It is supposed to be below 100 this weekend. I am very happy about that. I think everybody is, and that's all I have.
And I have no comments this month, so we will move into closed session. All right, we reconvene from closed session. Counselor, can you report out?
There was no reportable action on any of the items in closed session.
Thank you. And with that, meeting's adjourned.